and they say, oh, Chris is here. So you're everywhere, and we thank you for all the effort you do to be involved in all the activities the county government does, and your leadership, your wisdom, and we so much appreciate your participation.
Of course.
And
pleasure.
likely to the emerging leaders.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, everybody. How are you doing? Good. Did everybody get their candy? Which I do not approve of. But I am not the leader of the authority program, so I cannot say anything. Make sure you get your candy. So my name is Chris Young. I'm Deputy County Manager here at Santa Cruz County. I've spoken to you more than once, maybe a couple of times. And so I am happy to be here again. So I have 20 minutes. We're going to do an activity for 10 minutes, and then we're going to talk for the other 10 minutes. Sound like a plan? All right, we're going to divide up into 5 groups, okay? Do they have natural groups, or are they just all,
No.
they're just sitting together because they like each other?
Yeah.
All right, we're going to number off. 1, 5, 1. All right, I need all 1s here, all 2s here, all 3s here, 4s here, and 5s here. We don't got much time, so let's get going. What do we got? Where's my 1? Where's my 1? We got our 3s. Now you need to be able to talk to each other, 3s. Or 2s, I'm sorry. So what do we got here? What's going on? What do you guys? What do you guys? What do you guys? Can you guys turn your... These are the 3s back here. 3s are in the back. 2s are right here. Sorry about that. How we doing? If you came in late, join the 3s, join the 4s, or the 5s. If you came in late, join the 4s or the 5s. All right. If you look at the piece of paper, the 2 pieces of paper in front of you, it's a scenario. There's an emergency. We have a blackout, meaning there's no electricity. You are county government. You have some tasks right here. Your task. Step 1, choose a leader amongst your group. Step 2, identify first actions. What are the most important things? If you notice, right next to it says key areas to consider. Rank those. What are the most important to the least important? Number 3, prepare a briefing. And in that briefing, you're going to have to tell me who your leader is, and, well, your leader is going to give the briefing. And then the top 3 actions. What are the most important 3 things for you to do? It is right now 8:07. You have 8 minutes to do this. At 8:15, we're going to come back together. Okay? Choose a leader, top 3 actions. Go. Go to the 5s. You go to the 5s. I don't hear a lot of talking. Why not? You guys got candy, so you have no excuse. You should have energy. You have 5 more minutes. You have 5 more minutes.
There's some here, but I don't really. They're not here. They're like 40
You have 4 more minutes.
Do we all agree that number one priority is second priority is medical response on that? Do you agree or You can write on this paper if you want to remember. 3 minutes. Morning. You wake up in the morning and this just happens. You realize it when you wake up in the morning. Early morning is where this happens. Do you have daylight?
Wait, transportation was already
You got 2 minutes.
Transportation was already there as a second one.
Have to get able to hospitals if anything, accidents or injuries.
So the one is transportation because we need transportation to places in case of it says that transportation can
That's really good. And for a good point, you mentioned the tower.
You got 1 minute.
That's time. 30 seconds. Your community is depending on you. No pressure. Libraries say no pressure. Don't make a wrong decision. No pressure. All right. Put down your pencils. All right. So before we get into your answers, look at this. They're trying to. All right. Everybody, look at me. All right. So before we get into your answers, we're going to talk about a couple concepts. Okay. First of all, who can define what leadership is? Someone who takes initiative. Anybody else? Aren't you guys emerging leaders?
Someone who takes care of all.
You can't answer the girl. Say that again.
Someone who takes care of all other people's necessities.
Okay, you worry about other people's necessities. If you go ahead.
Taking care of those who can.
Good example. What?
Taking care of those who can.
Taking care of those who can't. These are all good characteristics of a good leader, right? But when we get down to what a leader is, it's somebody who can influence somebody else to do something. It's a power, the ability to influence. That's leadership. Okay? And there are different types. There's a million different types of leaders, and there's a million different types of leadership. Okay? I'm a deputy county manager, which means I'm low on the totem pole. That guy is a county supervisor. He's high on the totem pole, right? So he has something that's called formal leadership. Have you guys heard that term before? So within an organizational structure, like the county, he is our formal leader, which means he gets the opportunity to make decisions. Why? Because he's the county supervisor elected by his community. Means the community decided that he is the one who's going to make the decisions. Okay? That's formal leadership. Okay? Now also, you have other types of leadership, right? Does he have to get all the information and make all the decisions by himself? He can't, right? That's impossible. Could you imagine that? You also have what's called specific leadership. Okay? That's where people like me come in. Okay? If there are any questions on, for example, we do all the taxes, right? That's what everybody knows us for. We tax people. Okay? So if there's questions on taxes, that's a time, especially school taxes, that's a time that I can become a leader or a specific leadership style, right? Because I have a lot of experience working with tax rates, okay? And that's why you hire certain people within your organization, because you see where you're weak or where you're strong, and that helps you be strong in all areas. And if you have what's called a horizontal, which I would argue that's how the county is, a horizontal organizational structure, that means that a lot of people have direct access to Supervisor Fanning and can provide him with the information that he needs. Okay? We also have something called referent leadership. What's that? Does anybody know what that is? Referent. It comes from it's like the word reference. Kind of. So, formal leadership, specific leadership. You ever have those popular kids that are able to move a bunch of people, convince them to do stuff? That's referent leadership. And don't think that stops in middle school and high school. That happens here in organizations.
So you have people without formal leadership, but they have referent leadership. You get referent leadership because of trust, experience, right? Charisma, right? The guy or girl that can convince people to do stuff. That's called referent leadership. Okay? So, and there's a million others, but we're going to stick with those three, because those are three main ones. So, when I go around, okay, we're going to talk about those things. I'm going to ask you questions about what types of leadership you saw in your groups. Okay? Group 1, who was your leader? Okay? So what kind of leadership was that? Formal leadership. That's okay. Did you see any of the other leadership styles within your group? Was anybody very specific in what some type of knowledge they had or anything regarding this? Okay. What type of participation did you have in your group? Okay. How did you decide to choose them? How did you decide to choose which ones?
Because I really thought, I put myself in the situation and I thought which one I would want to, which ones I would be the best fit.
Okay. So you made all the decisions.
With the help of the
Okay, so you didn't get recommendations. Okay. How were you selected?
first you had chosen her, and then when I was taking the paper, I kind of started moving around to express any specific ones, and then also agreeing leadership of others that they thought, so they just told me how I wanted it to be.
I love it. Do you guys hear that? So what happened was they had chosen somebody else to be the leader, but because she took control, right? You could almost call that almost like either specific or a referent leadership. Then they just made her the leader. That's interesting. Good. Next group. Who's the leader? All right. How did you become the leader? You just decided you were the leader?
I want to be here.
You just said I want to be it?
Yeah.
And nobody argued? No fights? How did you make your decisions?
We make it all in a group.
All in a group. Right. Was anybody a specialist?
Yeah.
Well, there we go. We have our specific leadership. What were you a specialist in?
I took initiative.
Oh, you just took the initiative and you're like, I know this, and this? Good. So we had a formal leadership and almost like a referent leadership right there. Good. So people trusted you, like you knew what you were doing. Did you really know or are you faking it?
I guess I gave them points that they believed.
So they had the trust in you to believe you. Good. All right, what do we got back here? Who was the leader? How'd you become leader? Who said it? You guys decided that she was a leader, or did she say, I want to be leader? You guys decided. How did Supervisor Fanning become a supervisor? He was elected. So you were elected by your peers, just like Supervisor Fanning, correct? How did you make your decisions?
I read through it and I thought what could lead to what. Like some of the key areas lead to others, and I chose the ones that would lead to them.
You chose.
I
Did
asked
anybody-
them.
okay.
I asked them for their opinions.
So you did ask for support from the other ones. All right, good. Group 4, who's your leader? Or group 4, who's your leader? Uh-oh, we don't even know who the leader is? It was you? How do I know it? How do you know it was you?
It's because, okay, so he came in a little bit late. So before he came in, we were all decided that we would have one leader. So I asked them if they would want to be the friends okay with them. So I ended up being the leader, he would be specific leader because then I asked him to help me out.
Look at that. Look at that. Good job. Group 5, who's your leader? You're the leader? How did you become the leader? They just decided, so you were elected like Supervisor Fanning. All right, good. So if you notice, I didn't even ask about your 3 actions. Congratulations, whatever you chose. There's no right or wrong answer with that.
Okay, but what I wanted to demonstrate, and hopefully you understood the activity, is when you look at organizational structures, and especially here at Santa Cruz County, you'll find different types of leadership. Okay, you have formal leadership. Those are the county supervisors. Those are the three important people in the meetings that sit up front and up above all of us, right? But then you'll have people like County Manager Jesus Valdez, Deputy County Manager myself, Chris Young, Deputy County Manager Mauricio Chavez, and a bunch of department leaders, right? And then within that, okay, you have referent leaders, you have specific leaders, you have all types of leaders that provide guidance and are able to influence people to do what needs to be done for our citizens here in the county. Okay? One important aspect of when it comes to leadership is you have to understand the structure and people have to know their roles. Right? And that's helped guided by people like Supervisor Fanning. He knows who he can go to in the county to lead certain projects. Okay? Are there any questions about that before I turn it over to Supervisor Fanning? Any questions about the structure here at Santa Cruz County? All right. Thank you very much for your time, and I'll turn it over to Supervisor Fanning, and he's going to tell you guys how he became a leader.
Good morning. Hey, let's give him a nice hand. And I would respectfully disagree with him that he's low on the totem pole. He's the two people in the back, Shannon and Chris, are two of the people that I go to the most when a decision has to be made. They may or may not have background knowledge on what I'm going to ask them, but I trust their judgment. Okay, so I would respectfully disagree with Mr. Young. He is not low on the totem pole. Ready? Today I want to talk to you a little bit about my background and how I got to be where I am today. I'm going to kind of go separate, or I'm going to go a little bit different than what I usually do. I have stories in my background, but I'm going to deviate a little bit. So, oopsie, my path. And the key word up here is decisions. You're going to see some themes throughout my discussion today. Okay, and I'm sorry you're going to have to sit and get, but there's some kind of exciting things up there. Hopefully you'll see. But decisions. So you're going to see basically four themes today. One is choose your friends wisely. Two is it's all about decisions. Three is make sure you have a good support system. And four, and I'm going to ask you what this means, so be thinking about this, success breeds success. Okay, because I didn't get to where I am today because of one decision. It was a multitude of decisions throughout my life. And where I started is in Illinois. That's where I'm from. The first 14 years of my life, I lived in a small town called Sandwich, Illinois. Yes, Sandwich, okay? It's a small town, about 4,000 people, 5,000 people. It's changed a lot. I try to get back there every other year to see friends. It's changed a lot, but it's still about 4,000 or 5,000 people. This is what I was involved in. Okay, cross country, basketball, soccer, track. In my grade level, I was considered at the time the best athlete in the school. Okay, I stayed away from drugs and alcohol. I had good academic standing. I was popular, but there's a but in there. And I know that Mr. Young talked about someone who has charisma and someone who's a natural leader. I wasn't the natural leader. Okay? Whoops, this is the old one, Shannon. That's okay, because I took some of the stuff out. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about that. I just won't talk about butching. Okay? This is me in Illinois. I was dishonest. I shoplifted. Okay? My parents' coin collection. My brothers still get. I have 3 brothers. Okay? They all live in this area now. And my brothers to this day still give me grief because quarters and dimes made before 1964, you see no copper in them. Okay? I think they're like silver. And I used to dip into there and buy baseball cards without my parents giving me permission. So I was not an honest person. Okay? I was a sneak. I was a part-time bully. I was bullied, and I also did some bullying. Okay? I made fun of this girl or that girl. I was a follower. Even though I had charisma, even though I was a decent athlete, I hung out with the in crowd, if you will, I was still a follower. And I was not being my best self. Okay? I'm not going to go into Butchie, but I got a big story about Butchie. And these two guys are no longer with us. The two guys up top. They're my age, 61, but they're no longer with us. Sandwich High School canceled sports. Butchie got into some things he shouldn't have got into, okay, and made a real bad decision. I was already in Arizona when he made that decision, okay? Now, while I was in Illinois, even though I wasn't being my best self, I have two heroes, my mom and my dad, who are both no longer here. They gave me the framework, okay, to be successful. But I chose not to use that framework when I was hanging out with my friends. But they were an incredible, incredible people. We moved, and my dad worked for Western Electric, and my mom was a nurse at Western Electric. That's where they met. But my dad was dragging one of his feet. Went to the doctor. The doctor said it was in his head. Went to a different doctor, and they said, you're in trouble. So he went to, at that time in Minnesota, which was the best hospital in the United States, maybe in the world. It's called Mayo Clinic. They have another one up in Scottsdale now, I believe. And he got operated on. And he walked with a cane for the rest of his life. Can you imagine in Illinois, excuse me, in the winter months when the snow is on the ground, walking with a cane? Didn't do very well. And he was permanently disabled after that. He never worked again. Okay? So because of that, because he could not handle the winters, my grandparents moved out to Green Valley in 1969. We would visit every summer for 3 weeks, my grandparents, until my grandpa passed away, and then it was just my grandma. So we had an in of where we wanted to move, where there was going to be no snow. So we moved to Green Valley in 1979. I was the only Fanning boy. Remember I said there's 4 of us. I was the only Fanning boy that did not want to move to Arizona. Why? Because I was popular, because I was a decent athlete. Okay? I had friends. I was part of the in group. I was the only one that didn't want to move. But, in my opinion, and we'll save this story for another day, that saved my life. Literally. Okay? So we moved to Arizona. Okay? Here in Arizona, I made a decision that I was going to do what's best for me. I was no longer going to be a leader or a follower. I was going to be the leader that I knew I could be. Okay? Success breeds success. What does that mean? Does anyone take a guess? Anyone want to take a guess? Success breeds success. No one wants to take a shot at that? Yes, sir.
I can maybe think that success breeds success probably means that in life, as you succeed in many things, got many accomplishments, you become more successful. And just like it says there, as you become more successful, you start growing from that.
Perfect answer. Success breeds success means if you have success here, perhaps more doors will open for you. Okay? And that's exactly what happened with me. When I moved to Arizona, I knew that I wanted to be the best person I could be. And I know I shouldn't put names up there, but I always do, because I want you to know all of this is true. Andy Pacheco, I'm in football camp in Sahuarita. I went to Sahuarita High School. And I'm in football camp 1979. And we're all in the wrestling room. That's where we stay overnight for like 5 days. It's a football camp. Everyone stays overnight 5 days. I lost part of a tooth there because one of the older kids came behind me with a pillow, bashed me in the head, and my head hit the bed. It wasn't a good situation. I was always worried as a freshman. I always worried about the upperclassmen bothering me. But I went to Andy Pacheco. He was the starting center for the football team. Guy about that tall and about that wide. Okay? And he was going through his wallet. And back in the day, when you go through a wallet, you have pictures in there. Not so much anymore. And he was going through the pictures. And he got to one of the pages, and what was there? 3 joints. And he asked me, senior, asking a freshman who knew absolutely nobody there. Because remember, I had just moved to Arizona. Asked me if I wanted to go out behind the bleachers and smoke weed. What was my answer? No. Why? Because I wanted to be a leader. Donut Land. If any of you have relatives that are about my age in Saudita, ask them about Donut Land. On a Friday night, that's where everyone went to party. That's where everyone went to do drugs, to drink. When I say drugs back then, it was mainly marijuana and speed. Okay? That's where they went. Did I ever go? No. And I really didn't give a rat's rear end what anyone thought about me not going. Because I was going to be a leader. Weed and speed. Football game against San Manuel. Or was it against Coolidge? I think it was against Coolidge. I think they ended up being either state champs that year or runner-up. They were just animals. And we got our clocks cleaned. And at halftime or at the end of the game, we went in, and they started, some of the guys were blaming the coaches. Did I blame the coaches? No, I said, you know what? Stop doing weed and stop smoking, or stop doing speed and stop smoking weed, and we might be a little bit better in front of the entire team. That's the leader that I wanted to be. Because of that, remember when I said success breeds success? These are some of the things that I was part of. And remember how I told you earlier there's some themes? One of the themes is choose your friends wisely. These guys right here, my brothers, Gavin Saunders, Johnny Shesko, Eric Kubal, and Brendan Duffy. I hung out with them. We didn't drink, we didn't smoke, we didn't party, we shot each other with BB guns in the Santa Cruz River, but that's about it. Okay? But because I chose to be the best person I could, good things started happening. And success breeds success. So you're seeing, if I still lived in Illinois, like I said, I probably wouldn't be here right now. But living in Arizona and choosing to be the leader that I wanted to be allowed me to do this stuff. I knew at the end of high school that I either wanted to be in law enforcement, armed services, or teacher and coach. So, what did I do? I went to Pima College. And I'm here to tell you that it's one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. Back in the day, Pima College was only on the west side of the freeway. Now you have Pima College downtown, you have Pima College everywhere. You have the provisional college over here, right down the hill near Walgreens. Okay? I went there, I knew I wanted to be, I loved kids, and I loved sports. Okay? What does that equal? Being a coach and a PE teacher. All right? Once again, you see success breeds success. I knew what I wanted to do. Whoopsie. So I went to, after Pima, I went to NAU. And once again, I wanted to be a leader. So I was involved in leadership. I was an intramural supervisor. You talk about one of the funnest jobs a person can have. Refereeing games and just making sure that everything's going well with athletics. Now, for me, it was athletics. For you, it might be journalism. It might be art. It might be, debate. Whatever it is, if that's what you like doing, then continue doing it. and there's chances are you'll become that leader that you want to become. Resident assistant. I got free room and board when I was up at NAU. Why? Because I made good decisions. And I was the guy that made sure no one drank too much or smoked weed or anything like that up at the college. And then after college, I was a teacher and coach. And I went around here today, and man, I am so happy that Nogales is well represented here. Okay? Whether you're in high school or one of the middle schools, you guys are doing awesome. You know what's very disappointing though? How many students do we have from Santa Cruz Valley? One? That's disappointing because I know there's some good leaders there. And I'm going to do whatever I can to push to get those students back involved in this incredible opportunity. Do you realize the opportunity you have being part of this, emerging leaders? It's incredible. When you reach out for, some of you might be seniors in here, and you reach out for a scholarship, and you put on your resume that you were part of the emerging leaders, and then in the space underneath you tell them what you did, that's powerful. Okay, that is powerful. But this is what helped me to become the person I am today. Sports. Like I said, for me it was sports. Okay? For you it might be something different. But whatever it is, have a passion in it and do your very best. Okay? When I first started teaching, I would say that my future was going to be, I was going to be a PE teacher and a coach for the rest of my life. At 14 years, I had the opportunity to become an assistant principal. I took it. Why was I hired? Because I had showed what I could do during the 14 years of my teaching. Remember, nothing happens by chance. It's the choices that you make. And a little bit more, I was coach. Passion versus family. I had to make a decision. At 14 years, the district office said you can either coach or you can be an administrator, but you can't be both. Now, what was my passion? Sports, coaching. Okay, that was my passion. But what's more important than my passion? My family. If I didn't want to live in Tucson. I have nothing against Tucson, but when there's a shot, when someone's shooting a gun 3 doors down and someone gets shot in the leg in Tucson where I live, okay, and we lived on a corner, and on one evening someone was shooting a gun up in the air, it was a no-brainer. My wife and I have 3 boys. Okay, it was a no-brainer. I gave up my passion for my family because being an administrator and assistant principal pays more and allowed us to move to Rio Rico. That is my passion, above all. My wife and my 3 sons. One of them, actually, he knows him. One of them is actually following, I guess, in my footsteps. Not a very bright individual, evidently. I'm kidding. He is a teacher at Guatamundi, and he's a coach. This is kind of what allowed me to get to where I am. I was a teacher, assistant principal. I opened up Guatamundi way back in the day. I was the first principal there. I retired. I went back, and at that time I was able to work at the district office as the community outreach coordinator. In 2020, I made a decision that I was thinking about running for supervisor. And District 3 supervisor covers everything north of Tubac, everything north of Peck Canyon. Tubac, Tumacacre, East Rio Rico, Patagonia, Sonoy to Elgin. That's all of my area. And I was going to run. But there was a gentleman who I used to coach. His name is Justin Luna. And he told me that he was going to run. And he was much younger than me. And I wanted him to have that opportunity. Because I've already done a lot of different things in my life. I'm happy. I'm content. Okay? He ran. He did not win. Okay? So in 2024, he's the first person I met with. And I said, Justin, I said, I want to do things for this county. I've done things for the school district. I want to take it to the next level, which is the county, in my opinion. So I said, whether you're gonna run or not, I'm gonna run. And at that point, he told me he was not gonna run. And then I met with the incumbent, the person who was the supervisor, because I felt that was the right thing to do. And I met with him at Nichols, and I said, Bruce, I'm going to run for supervisor. I thought I wanted you to make sure that you were aware of that. Okay? And we ran against each other, and it was very clean. There was no, garbage throwing at each other. It was very clean. I had success in the primary. The primary is when, if you're a Democrat, or let's say you're a Republican, that's when you run against another Republican to see who goes to the general election in November. So I won that, and then I went to November and I won that. Okay, I was lucky enough to be elected. Okay? Once again, success breeds success. This is my goal. When I first started, I'm in my first year. The gentleman back there, okay, Supervisor Chair Maleta, has been doing this for a long time. He's the guru. He's another one that I go to when I can within the law, because he and I can't talk that much about things. Okay? It's called open meeting law violation, so we have to be careful with that. But that's the guru right there. I'm the guy that says, I know a little about a lot of things, but I do not know a lot about everything. My goal is to know a lot about a lot. I'm getting there. I have a lot to learn. Remember at the very beginning of my presentation, who did I say I go to a lot? I go to Shannon, that person right back there. Okay? Shannon and I have worked together for 10 or 15 years in one way or another. I go to Bugs whenever I can. I go to Jesus, he's the county manager. I go to Chris. I go to a lot of different people. Okay? And they help me out. And that's how I am going to get to where I need to get to. Now, how did I get to where I'm at? I always tell people, open this, and shut this. Unless you're asking questions. That's how you learn. Okay, here's a quote. Success is not an accident, it is the result of your attitude, and your attitude is a choice. Remember I told you another thing was about choice? All right? At Calabasas, I was principal at Calabasas. So if you ever go to Calabasas, and you're leaving Calabasas, there's a marquee right there. And on the back side of that marquee, I put something up, and this was 15-ish years ago, 15 years ago. And I put a message up on that marquee. And it's still there to this day, because people think it's important. All right? And it's about choices. Everyone here has made the choice to be here. Okay? Everyone here is heading in the right direction. All right? Continue to make good choices, and the sky's the limit, folks. Okay? You have a lot going for you. You're right where you need to be right now. Continue to utilize those who have helped you. Who did I say mine were? My parents, my brothers. Johnny Shesko, Gavin Saunders, Eric Kubal, Brendan Duffy. Even Bill Stevens. Those guys were all the folks that helped me stay on the straight and narrow. Whoever that is for you, use it. If you hang out with somebody and you have a tendency to get into trouble with them, I would rethink your relationship, okay? Stick with people that can help you, all right? That's my advice to you. Choose to focus on relationships, excellence, and trust. I've always told my wife and my sons, I said, when I die, I don't care if I was the best principal, the best teacher, the best coach, the best supervisor. I really don't care. What I hope people say is I was a decent guy. I was a nice person, honestly. That's what I mean by relationships. Choose your relationships wisely. We've already talked about strive for excellence, transparency over time, complete trust. Why was I elected? Because I spent 35 and a half years in education, and I think I built trust with a lot of different people. That's why I think I was elected. All right? Be proud of your accomplishments, but always stay humble. I have one son who's the teacher who's very, very humble. I have another son, my youngest, who's a cocky little son of a gun. And I continue to tell him, keep your feet on the ground, stop having a big head, or it's going to get, someone's going to pop it. Not pop it literally, but he's going to get his ego popped. Okay? So and my oldest son is also very humble. So stay humble in whatever you do. And that's all she wrote. thank you for being here, thank you for listening to me, and hopefully you gained a little bit of knowledge on where I've gotten to and how I've gotten. And now you get to listen to the Jefe back there. And this gentleman right here, you have no idea how important he is in your life and what a opportunity you have. Thank you.
You guys see his finger?
That's what happens. My wife.
He overused it.
No.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, you guys.
See, and this is the type of relationship we have. We have a
I
joking
love this
relationship.
guy. I love him. And that's why I can say stuff like that.
Thank you, Chairman Molera. It's an honor to introduce Chairman Rudy Molera. As Mr. Fanny said, he's one of the most outstanding leaders of our times in Santa Cruz County, and it's an honor that you dedicated your time to enlighten our emerging leaders. Thank you so much.
I would walk 10 miles to do this because you guys are so important to me. You are, seriously. Thank you, Tocayo. Man, it's a privilege, es un privilegio estar aquí con ustedes. First and foremost, do me a favor, stand up, stand up, stand up, you know, stretch out, take a deep breath. I know you guys have been sitting, you've been sitting for about an hour already, and sometimes we just need a little break, okay? All right, grab a seat. I'm not as fancy as my colleague, Mr. Fanny. I didn't bring a PowerPoint, and unfortunately, I just had a real busy week. I just got back from meetings. Let me back up a little bit. And my whole spiel today is going to be about leadership and how you guys are going to be the best possible leaders. And that's what we want, ultimately. Right now, I'm in the most amazing situation. I work with two of the best colleagues. I'm blessed with having Mr. Fanny represent District 3, and you're going to meet Dr. Davis later. He represents District 1, and I represent District 2. District 2 is pretty much the west side of the freeway, all of Rio Rico, Meadow Hills, Valle Verde, Chula Vista. Those are the areas that I represent, all the way into Carpenter a little bit. And that's the area that I represent in my district. I've had the privilege of going to school here in Nogales. I went to school in A.J. Mitchell. I went to A.J. Mitchell, and then Mary Welty was built when I was in 6th grade. And my house was like from here to the end of the stairs, I could hear the bell. So that was really cool, but it was only for 1 year. So I went to Mary Welty for 1 year, and then Carpenter. I had an amazing experience at Carpenter. Our 8th grade civics teacher, Mr. Luis Bachiller, who's no longer with us, unfortunately, he died of cancer. He had a group that he formed that he called the Nation of Please. That was my first true experience with leadership. Like, where I really got into it and grinded. Because he gave us an opportunity. He says, you know what? You all want to be a part of the Nation of Please? Here's what you need to do, okay? You need to stick with us all year. We fundraise, and at the end of the year, you know what we're doing? We're all going to Disneyland. So basically, you you were fundraising all year, you're selling chocolates, you're selling whatever, you're knocking on doors, talking to your neighbors, talking to whomever, selling. So that's where I started with some of my leadership skills. And then down the road, when I got to high school, I fell in love with the sport of basketball. Basketball was my love. And, you know, some of the acronyms that are huge when it comes to being a leader is, number one, you have to be really hardworking. And what would I do if I wanted to be a really good basketball player, a good trumpet player? What do you need to do? Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And you just earned yourself a challenge coin, okay? We give these out, and I am challenging you to continue to be a good leader. Yes, I shot thousands and thousands and thousands of baskets. But you know what? I became an amazing three-point shooter. And that's what it takes. You know, practice, practice, practice. Discipline. Being focused. This is what I want to do. You know, I played other sports. I played baseball and other sports, and I really enjoyed them. But my main sport, which took me all the way to college, I played at Pima College. And so, you know, that's what it takes. You're disciplined, you're focused, you work hard. What else? What happens when you make the varsity and you're one of the top players, whatever? What do people look at you, right? And you as a leader, you have to be what? Absolutely. Absolutely. That's the term I was looking for. A good leader, I challenge you as well, has to be very humble. I've been around really good leaders and really crappy leaders, okay? And there's leaders that love to do this, love to pat themselves in the back, you know, and that's not what life is about. We do stuff because you want to be a sound leader, a good person, humble, okay? After high school, I went to Pima College, and then I went to U of A. I got my degree, came back to Nogales, and I was a counselor at Nogales High School. I was probably a counselor for some of your parents, maybe even some of your grandparents. I'm that old. But I had the really honor of privilege. And one of the coolest things that I've experienced is I've had students that you kind of push and shove, and boom, guess what? There's some of our key leaders here in Nogales now. One of my former golfers that I coached is one of the top attorneys in town. He does international law. He does huge mergers. The first job he got, when he got his law degree and got his job, when he got his first check, we were out there golfing, and he says, "Bugs, when I got my first check and I looked at my first check, I couldn't believe it." You know, attorneys make a lot of money. He's probably making, I'm gonna give it a conservative number, about $400, $450 an hour. That's how much these good attorneys make. So ultimately, to me, my biggest satisfaction as a counselor, as a former educator, is to see the people we put out to pasture come back to our community. Not necessarily come back, but become successful in life. Okay? And one of the things about life that you all need to understand It's not easy. It's not easy. And our biggest example is our parents. We've all seen their struggles. You know, I grew up in a really humble situation. My dad had to work like 2-3 jobs. He drove a bus from here to Tucson. He also had cattle in Mexico. He was a cattle rancher. That was his first love. And he also drilled for wells. He would drill water wells in Nogales, Sonora, because their water infrastructure wasn't that good. So that's one of the things he did. So to me, he was one of my, and still one of my biggest idols growing up because of how hard he worked. Well, one of the biggest lessons I got as a young 20-year-old, I was in shape, I was playing basketball, all this stuff. My dad took us out to the ranch, me and one of my younger brothers, and he says, we're gonna go fix one of the fences. We're gonna go dig and put in some T-posts. That is one of the hardest things I've ever done. And my dad, boom, wouldn't stop. And my brother and I were dying. We were dying. But talk about a humbling experience where you really learn. That's when I said, hey, I'm getting an education. I'm not gonna do this stuff for a living. You know, I'm getting an education. So those were life lessons that my dad gave us, you know. We talked about being humble. Another one that's really, really critical is being honest, okay? Because, especially in our field, in politics, it's really sad to see what's going on at the national level. I'm not going to point fingers. I'm not going to say this, that, Republicans, Democrats, because there's bad on both sides. But one of the saddest things to me is to see elected official who's supposed to represent us at the national level lying straight to the public, and you know the person's lying. And what's going on in our culture nowadays? You know, it's not. We're not in a good situation. We need change. We need things to happen. Because, in my opinion, that's just my opinion. We'll see you guys later. But honesty is huge. It's really, really big. And then, how many of you guys are in high school? Okay. Okay, good. Because high school's tough. Because there's a lot of cliques, right? Okay? There's a lot, it's real cliquish, high school. And a lot of times, you get caught in these little games. Don't play games. Be honest, be humble, don't play games. Okay? Because what happens is you fracture relationships, you do a lot of damage to people when you play games. And it's not good. You know? And it happens, right? It happens all the time. Ah, tú no te juntaste con la doña porque blah, 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 whatever. Don't let her come into our group because she's whatever, or he's whatever. You know, it's really super cliquish. So don't get caught up in those games. Be yourself. Be proud of yourself. Okay? You're all good leaders. We've already experienced it. To me right now, looking at you guys dressed really sharp, you made my day. Seriously, you have. You all look very professional. You look like you're ready for life. And that to me is like I said, it's made my day. And like I said, there's good leaders and there's bad leaders. Okay? I had a principal, boss of mine. We sat in a meeting, a teacher's meeting, and she stood in front of us and she said, we're doing this. And somebody asked the question, why are we doing this? And she says, we're doing it because I say so. You know? And we're all professionals. We were all professionals. And we just asked for a professional answer. And we're doing this because I say so is not a legitimate answer to about 60 professionals that are sitting watching you. And guess what? That was one reason I got out of education. I was ready to become a principal. I had everything on my certification. And I said, you know what? I'm going to be working with these guys. So, ironically, I got out of education because of politics. And guess where I ended up? In politics. But you know, one of the things that I've always prided myself on, because politics can be real tricky. Like I said, there's a lot of people that aren't honest. And I've worked with some people that play games in politics, just like high school, like you guys are living that. And I've always prided myself on doing what I was elected to do. Hey, I was elected to make decisions for Santa Cruz County, for District 2, and the smartest, the most humble decisions that I'm gonna make. I made some really, really hard decisions, but I sleep well at night. You know why? Because I'm being honest and I'm making the right decisions for Santa Cruz County. And that's the bottom line. And like I said before, I'm truly blessed. I'm truly blessed with the 2 other supervisors, with a good county manager. Shannon is a great teammate. She's awesome. She's the one that keeps us in line. She does, seriously. No, she's awesome. Before I get done, I want to challenge you. I want to challenge you because, like I said, life is tough. And every choice we make every day can change our lives. Sometimes those choices can change our lives forever. In a good way and in a bad way. Okay? Sometimes we make bad choices and it steers us in the wrong direction. But ultimately, we can correct that. Okay? We all make mistakes. We do. I made mistakes. Like Mr. Fanning said, he was headed in the right direction. Guess what? Right around my freshman year, I almost didn't play the sport that I love because of bad grades, because I wasn't going to class, because I was hanging out with the wrong guys. So I was making really poor choices. And I said, hey, let's get our act together. So I got my act together. Okay? So ultimately, every choice we make every day really has a lot of influence in where you're going in life. And we're going to fall. We're going to fall on our face. We're going to fall on our face plenty of times. But keep driven, okay? Set goals. Set goals. I'm going to do this. And set that goal, boom. Accomplish that goal, and then set other goals. Okay? Keep yourself driven all the time to succeed. Okay? And you're not always going to succeed. We're going to fail, like I said. Okay? Just get up. Okay? Dust your pants. And let's go. Okay? that's how life is. Any questions? Any questions about what we do, what I've done? Anything about Santa Cruz County? No? Well, I really enjoyed this time. I hope I didn't bore you guys, okay? But I am just tickled by seeing you guys look so professional. And I'm pretty sure it's not just the look. I'm pretty sure your mindset is the same way. And I congratulate you guys. And I'm super proud of you. And I'm pretty sure your parents are very proud of you as well. Okay? And keep up the good work. One last thing I'm going to say is if you're applying for scholarships, for jobs, for anything, feel free to reach out to me for a letter of recommendation, for a reference. Okay? Anytime. Okay? It's a pleasure. God bless you guys.
Thank you so much. We're so inspired now.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for enlightening us with your amazing leadership experience, which is rooted in what you are.
Thank you.
And our county really appreciates that. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
By the way, he is going to be giving another speech in the graduation ceremony. He has accepted that.
Yes, yes.
We so much appreciate his effort on doing that, and I am sure the major leaders will learn so much from him.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. You guys have a good day.
And now it's an honor to introduce Shannon Hall. She is the Director of Marketing for Santa Cruz County and Communications. And it's an honor to have you here.
Thank you. Good morning. Okay, you're listening. So I'm going to talk to you about leadership, communications and leadership, because to be a good leader, you have to be a good communicator. Would you agree? Yes? What's the most important thing you think that there is that you should do if you're a good communicator? What's the one most important thing you can do as a communicator? What is it?
Be honest.
Be honest. Yep, that's a good one.
Connections.
Making connections, absolutely. Relationships and connections are being good at listening. So the number one thing in my job that I try to aspire to do and do well is to be a good listener. So I don't try to listen to respond to people, which you have to respond to people when you're a communicator. But I listen to understand people, to understand where they're coming from, to understand their point of view, their perspective, because it's really important how you listen to people so that you can respond to them and treat them, because not always will people remember what it is that you say, but what are they going to remember most about you? Okay, we'll get to that. So talking about communication and leadership, leadership is, I'm a communications manager. My title doesn't really mean anything. How I treat other people does. So I come from Kentucky, which is a lot of people would say it's the South. You can probably hear the twang in my accent. I have a little bit of a Southern twang. It's more like the Midwest. But I come from Kentucky and I grew up in a really small town, and there wasn't a lot of diversity or culture when I grew up. And so when I moved to Arizona, I got exposed to a lot more culture. There are a lot more cultures here, a lot of different people here. I found myself for the first time being in a town. I came to Nogales. And so I came to Nogales in the late 90s, so 30 years ago-ish. So I found myself coming to a town where I did not speak the language. People spoke English, but back then it was primarily Spanish. And I remember when I started, I had a really hard time trying to find a job because I didn't speak Spanish. Everybody wanted you to be bilingual. Still the case, we're moving away. Our younger people are coming up and you guys are bilingual. I think that's amazing. But it was really hard for me at first. And at first I was very frustrated and I thought, what did I do? I moved somewhere where I'm not gonna be able to communicate with anyone. I'm not gonna find a job. It's gonna be hard for me. But as I stayed here and I accepted the people around me, I accepted the fact that I'm just gonna have to learn a new culture. I'm just gonna have to learn a new language. I'm just gonna have to try to fit in where I felt like the odd man out, right? And so I just immersed myself in the community and started talking to people and getting to know people, and I fell in love with the culture here. And we're exposed to even more culture in Arizona, right? So it's not just Hispanic culture. We have all sorts. We're just a big old melting pot of people, which I absolutely love. And that has been an amazing experience for me. That has really opened up my mind from when I was just that young girl in Kentucky with I had no idea about fried tacos. Tacos Dorado, yay! But I'm just kidding. It really opened up my mind and made me understand that it's very important to listen and learn from everyone. And everyone has a voice. And listening to other people is really important because you may not always agree. So as a communications manager, I'm constantly bombarded with public opinion about what they think, about how our government runs, about how our county should run. There's a lot of opinions swirling around. And I don't always agree with everything that I hear, but it's very important in my job that I listen to every single voice. And I try to pull in all of that information and make my decisions for communications with all of that information. Does that make sense? So what do you think a communications manager does for Santa Cruz County? What are some things you think I do on a daily basis?
So I listen to like opinions of other people like the city and try to fix problems.
Yeah. So I listen to people a lot. A big part of what I do is I push out social media. I put information on the website. I release press releases or write and release press releases. And I do all of that to communicate information to our community. If I didn't listen to our community to try to understand what it is that they want to know about from county government, I would not be able to do my job. So that just shows how important it is to listen. And I think that the most important thing about being a leader is listening and communicating and treating people with kindness and with fairness. Your words are very important. The things that you say can really have an impact on a person. So try to be mindful when you are talking to other people, because you can either build someone up with your words or you can tear them down with your words. So I always choose, and I'm not perfect, and we all get those heat of the moment situations where we choose to say something that's maybe not so nice, but I try to always remember that I don't know what everyone else is going through, so I'm going to choose to use words to build people up all the time instead of trying to tear them down. You'll have to excuse me, I know all of you are working on your speeches. Are you nervous? Yes? And so, if you can't use your paper today, can you? No. So you have to get up and you have to wing it, right? The advice I would give to you for giving your speech is do not try to remember your speech exactly as you wrote it. Remember the main points. Hit your main points. Be genuine. No one in the audience is going to know what you're going to talk about. So you can't mess up, right? Even if you leave a point out, no one will ever know. So just stand up, stand up with confidence, be genuine, move around a little bit, be a little animated. That helps get the nerves out. That helps you focus on what you're saying. What else? I did get to have my notes today. I was preparing to speak to you guys, and then we had to change a plan, so we changed it a little bit, so I came prepared, but then I wasn't prepared, and here we are. We talked about that. So, leadership shows up in small moments. So, how you listen to people, how you treat people, how you speak to people, those are moments where you can be a good leader. I believe in being a servant leader. I believe that it's my job not to have a title to stand above anybody. It's my job to work along, and we bring everybody along with us. As a leader, you always have a team, and if your team is falling behind, then you're falling behind. So I feel like you should bring your team with you. You should encourage your team. You should, working for the school district, Supervisor Fanning mentioned that we worked together for 10 or 15 years. I started out in the school district working, and if a floor needed to be mopped so a parent or a child would not slip and fall during the monsoon season, I was mopping the floor. If they needed help in the cafeteria setting up for lunch, I was in the cafeteria setting up for lunch. None of those were my jobs, but I felt like our school was a team, and that for our school to go forward and for our school to be successful, we all had to work together, and we all had to jump in and do the things that maybe we didn't normally do, right? There's nothing beneath you when you're on a good team. Everybody wants to pitch in, and everybody wants to make sure that we all walk forward and we're all successful. Would you agree? Yeah. So I would encourage you today, before you give your speech, shake it out, try to jump up and down a little bit, get the nerves out, and today is a good practice. Just practice your speech, and this will be your first run through, because I tell you, the more you speak to the public, the easier it gets. The first time I was telling Dr. Martinez earlier that I took a public speaking class, and it was virtual. And so we had to record ourselves giving a speech. And so I'm recording myself giving the speech, and I watch it back, and I'm like, no. And I watch it back, and no. And I bet I did this 20 times, and none of the times I was satisfied with it. I would mess up, I didn't like the way I looked, there were so many different things that I was just super, super hard on myself. And so I ended up failing that assignment because I couldn't get up the nerve to submit something that I thought was good enough for that assignment. As I look back, I thought, now this was a virtual class, had I been in front of a class like you all, I wouldn't have had time to worry about what I was looking like. I wouldn't have time to go back and make sure that I hit every word in my speech. I wouldn't have had time for any of that. I just would have stood up, been genuine, messed up, fumbled a little bit, kind of like today, moved on, and I would have passed the assignment. But instead, I got in my own head, and I just psyched myself out to the point of failing. So don't ever psych yourself out to the point of failing. Get up, be courageous, stand up tall. You have good points, you know what you want to say, doesn't have to be perfect, and just let your voice be heard. Okay?
Thank you, Shannon. We so much appreciate how our leaders are giving us so much advice, not only on leadership but on their lives, right? And it just feels that their message is from the heart, and that's what's so important in leadership, that we talk from the heart. And now it's an honor to introduce Supervisor Luis Carlos Davis. about being humble in leadership, he's one of the most humble persons that I know here, and he has attended the opening ceremony. He went to the sessions that we had in October, and so it's an honor to have you here, Supervisor, and thank you so much for dedicating so much of your time to teach us, to enlighten us on your path, on your career, and your leadership. Thank you.
No, thanks for you for always including us. I appreciate it. Good morning, everyone. How are you guys doing? Good. So I know most of you because I've seen them, right? Okay. And somebody interviewed me, some few of you guys. So I'm gonna start asking you that question because you already heard many presenters, and you also have been going through this project, right? Through this program. So tell me, like, what do you guys think is leadership is? What do you guys think leadership is?
Taking that step to lead people to success.
Yes. Hmm? In what? Being a role model, okay. Anyone else? Don't be afraid. Huh? The what? Yes. Anyone else? Influence others. Uh-huh. Anyone else? So, all those answers are correct, right? And when you say like influence others, who do you think would be the most important person to influence? That's according to me. If you're gonna start influencing others, who would be the most important person to influence? Huh? Ourselves, right? So I think everything starts from us. And it's as simple as this. If you want to do something, you have a goal, and you have the talent, you have the capacity to do it, right? Maybe your parents think that, your teachers think that, but you have some doubts. Is it going to be easy or more difficult to achieve that goal? Right? Now, if you're going to try to reach, you have a goal, and maybe you're not you don't have all the skills, but you believe strongly. Do you think it's likely that you can achieve that? So yeah, so basically, I think the most influence, like to start with, you gotta be able to influence yourself. And that's, I mean, we all have this committee in our heads, right? These voices. So basically, like when you gotta go, for example, like to soccer practice in the morning, and the alarm goes off, and then that voice tells you like a little bit more, I want to sleep, right? And sometimes you listen to that voice, right? So what's gonna happen? Right? So you're not gonna do it, maybe you're gonna be late, or maybe you're gonna go to practice next time, right? So we have, I think, who doesn't have that voice in their head, that little committee, I call it committee. Because there's different voices sometimes. Who doesn't have that? Everybody, right? I think so, right? So, I do think that's like the first step. It's not easy, it takes practice, but what I noticed is that once you develop this habit and you keep doing it, and keep doing it, and keep doing it, you develop those skills, and next time it's easier, right? But you always have to be like challenging this little community stuff, which is yourself. So when I was in high school, like you guys, I don't think I was the best student, to be honest. I was good in arts and in music and band. But for some reason, I really struggled to study. I mean, I don't think it was like, I just struggled, like it wouldn't come natural. So when I graduated from high school, I went to college. And the first year in college was so difficult for me. Like so difficult, like very difficult. Just to give you an idea. So I know I needed to take this math class at Pima Community College. And I enrolled in it. And everything was so complicated. And then there's a deadline when you can drop that class, right? So I dropped it and I went next, I said I'm gonna go next semester. So that's what happened, right? I go into the next semester, I get this math class. And it's very difficult. It's very difficult. And then I dropped it again. I don't think if I dropped that class like 4 or 5 times. Because for real, I was not lying, it was very difficult, but then I had to start thinking, what can I do? So I found a tutor. I started taking like math classes. I started working, I'm not lying, one day, I studied like for 12 hours, like math. I would be in Pima, in Tucson, and I would come during the weekends. And Lucy, this teacher that's still a teacher at Rio Rico High School, she would help me during the weekends. And like, she never charged me nothing. I remember she used a purple like pencil. And she said, it's good for your memory. I don't know if it's true or not, but she would work with me, and I started working, but basically, it took for me to make like a shift in my head. Like, I'm gonna take this class no matter what happens. So when I enrolled that, it was very difficult, and I passed it, I remember, at the end with a C. So it was very difficult, and I noticed the first and second semesters, that a lot of people go to college, sometimes they drop, that's when they drop. So basically, when I passed that class, I knew it was possible, so my voice started changing, right? I started getting help from other people. But I think it really took that I believed in myself, I started believing in myself. So I did stuff that I basically shift. I did stuff that I never imagined. For example, I remember I had applied for scholarships and I wouldn't get them. I just wouldn't get them. And then I had help from other people, but I found this guy who was really good and he helped me and I got my first scholarship. So I was like, okay, it's possible. It was like $500, right? And then I applied for this internship in Washington, D.C. It was like the summer. I did an internship at the U.S. Treasury Department. So I flew to Washington, D.C. It was like coming out of my comfort zone, living with 2 people from Puerto Rico, one from El Paso, which he's still my friend. And it was a really good experience. So then I was like, it's possible. So then, once I did that shit, I started like accomplishing a lot of goals. And I knew, and I discovered this too. And I think I told you guys, I don't know who was here last year. Okay, a big thing was fear for me, and I think for a lot of people it's like fear. But I think that's what stops a lot of people. But once you know that fear is just an indication that you're maybe coming out of your comfort zone and you're going the right direction, you see things different. So when I was very comfortable, I started I knew I wasn't going the right way. So when I started feeling like fear, and I still feel it sometimes, you feel this fear, it means you're coming out of your comfort zone, you're trying something new. So basically, I started enjoying, not enjoying, but at least acknowledging that emotion, at least for me, it was an indicator of something good. And basically, that really helped me until now. And so basically, I'm saying this because that's something very practical that you can start. Right now, today, before anything else, it's like you have to be able to convince yourself. You have to be able to influence yourself. And you're gonna see you're capable of doing stuff you never imagined. And so that's basically, last year was like overcoming fear. Now it's like basically be able to influence yourself. Anybody has a question so far? So basically it's very practical. And that's the thing that I want you to take away from this. You have to really train your mind, basically find the right friends, the right people, the right mentors, and always keep working, and you're gonna see how you can go from one end to the other. Sounds good? It's practical, but I think if you're able to do it, it's gonna be huge. Thank you guys.
Thank you, Supervisor.
I think it's practical, but I think it's more difficult than what it seems. Because it all starts with us, to be honest. Who has seen people that have a lot of talent? They're so talented. Maybe they don't struggle to school. And somebody else that has maybe less talent, but he works really hard, he accomplishes more things, right? It's that thing inside, it's that voice. He believed it, or he put the hours in and stuff, and that's what makes the difference. That's what makes a difference?
I just wanted to say that I admire Supervisor Davis because he was born in Sonora, and he migrated to the U.S. when he was graduating high school, right?
No, fourth grade.
Fourth grade.
Yeah, fourth grade.
And he went to U of A and managed to go all the way to a PhD, and started, working on his professional life as a teacher at Nogales High School, right?
Yes.
And now he is an authority in our county. It's a great story of success and leadership, and it personally it strengthens my mind. And it doesn't matter where you were born. It's just matter how you prepare yourself, how you pursue your goals, how you get ready for those, and at the end you're gonna reach it, right, Supervisor?
Yes, so for example, like you said, right? I was born in Nogales, Mexico. I came to the US. So I'm the youngest of 3 brothers. And my brothers are very smart, like for real. They're like natural, they're smart. And I never thought, for example, I knew I had to finish college just because my brother and my sister did it, right? But my dad would worry for me a lot. And he would always tell me and I don't think he was saying it like for something negative or bad. He was like, try to get a technical career, which is good. It's good. Or join the army, because he didn't think I was good for college. But that, I know he was trying to help me, but it got to the point where I got upset too, right? And I used that as a fuel. But I never thought I was gonna be able to finish a master's degree for sure, and a PhD. Never. So even when I was done, I was like, I don't know how I did this. But it's that thing, right? You convince yourself, you work hard, and you keep working, and because you're gonna go up a hill, for sure. There's nothing gonna be plain or downhill. You're gonna go up a hill. And yeah, like I said, now I'm working here at the county, right? As a supervisor. I don't know what, I was able to do a movie, a documentary, and doing filmmaking, it was a great experience, because filmmaking, you're always going up a hill when you do a project. It doesn't matter if it's a 2-minute short film or a 60-minute documentary or feature film. You're always going. The nature of it is going uphill. The audio, the light, the actors, the interview. It's always difficult. So when I did one project, I thought the other one was going to be easier. It's just the nature of it. And I think that filmmaking gave me a really good training too. And I knew that if I didn't finish a project that I started, I was gonna get defeated. You see, so I knew I had to finish everything I started like a project. Because if not, you get defeated, and then it's more difficult to do the other project. So for me, filmmaking did it. For you guys, it's gonna be something else.
Thank you, Supervisor.
Next week.
Let's give him
Anything you guys need, we're down there, right? If you guys, I already helped some of you with because something about leadership is important to others, right? And it could be something so small, I have already given some a rec letter for college or scholarship. Somebody interviewed me for this project. So if you guys need anything that we can help, we're down there. You know where my office is. The doors are open for all of you guys. Okay? Sounds good. Bye.
Now before you close the video, I wanna ask Ricardo to give us a message. His life is impressive, it's amazing. And he is now the CEO of one of the most prominent media outlets in our region in southern Arizona. And I want to hear your message to the emergent leaders. How do you make it all the way to where you are?
Okay.
Thank you.
Good morning. First of all, congratulations. I think you're doing something that's going to be very helpful in your career. I wish when I was young have opportunities like this, so take advantage of it. It's a really awesome program. I have seen Rodolfo since he started this program. It's been very successful. I have seen from 10 kids now to all of you, almost 100 kids. So congratulations, Rodolfo, and congratulations to you. So I always say, try to be humble, you know, and follow your heart. Follow your heart. I don't know if you know about We Love Nogales. I use the logo of a heart because I always follow my heart. That's you know, I have learned from you know, from bad decisions, losing a business, doing another one, losing another business. So it's always opportunity out there, you know, always opportunity out there. So you're thinking this right, starting with the right feet, and go and explore, you know. Always ask questions. If you're wrong, doesn't matter, you know. I'm very grateful that you're taking this kind of leadership because it's very important, you know, to make those questions, to have the courage to go in front and talk about an idea and develop that idea, you know, have a mentor. Try to look for as many mentors as you can, you know. Obviously, your parents are your first mentors, but then look for another one, a teacher. Take advantage of these people, leaders of our community that are saying, I want to help you, let us know. Approach those leaders, you know, take advantage of what they're saying right now. And visit, knock their door of their office. And those kind of things are very important, you know, and always follow, you know. I always say, I said it last year at the meeting, and I said, when you have those butterflies in your stomach, obviously you always feel those butterflies when you're in love, you know, or you have love for another person, but you also feel those butterflies when you have an idea, you know. So follow those kind of things, and prepare yourself, and yes, explore, go out there and explore, and have fun, with it, and take it as you're playing a game. You know, so no, none of us wanna lose the game, you know, but sometimes it will happen, and that's okay. It's always another opportunity, okay? So take the risk, okay? And again, congratulations to all of you, and have a nice day.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Thank you. This closes our morning session, and we so much appreciate our county, Edgardo, and all of his effort to promote our program. So,
No, un saludo a mi mamá porque estoy viendo el
okay.
equipo.
And any of you that would like to say a message to our county leaders, to Edgardo?
Let me add something very quick, Rodolfo.
Yes.
If any of you wanna go there and see our studio down Morley Avenue, you're more than welcome to come and visit it and see the wonderful things we're doing in downtown. So, yeah, just that I forgot to say.
Thank you. Thank you. Edgardo is also going to be live streaming the interview later on this afternoon. So we so much appreciate you. Thank you, Edgardo.
Okay, thank you.
So much fun. We talked about her